n8n is a free automation tool that allows you to create powerful workflows that can make use of all kinds of AI tools running on your PC or Mac locally. You don't have to write a single line of code, making it incredibly easy and fun to use. It allowed me to set up my own Telegram channel with a bot that keeps me up to date with anything AI related in several different ways. And starting with this video, I want to show you exactly how I did it. After a small introduction, we'll set everything up, which includes installing Docker, n8n, as well as Ollama. Then we create a Telegram bot and a channel before we will build the actual workflow. And while we will be building this specific use case today, where you gather information online, have an AI summarize it before sending you the summary on Telegram, aiming to save you time reading all the articles one by one. Once you understand the tool and its mechanics, you can easily replace nodes in your workflows and can, for example, switch your local AI with a paid, larger model running in the cloud somewhere. Or instead of Telegram, you could have the summary sent to another app. You can also add another step, which converts the written summary into a spoken summary, all completely free with Chatterbox or paid in the cloud if you prefer to use the best and largest models. By the way, it says 11 apps is paid, but it actually allows you to use their API even in their free plan, which gives you up to 20 minutes of speech generation per month. I am using 11 Labs right now to change my own voice for the video. And if you want to try it out while supporting this channel at the same time, then you can use this link to sign up for free. You can also go a step further and instead of n8n, build a workflow in make.com, which offers similar functionality while running fully in the cloud. We will look at pros and cons of both tools in a second, and even if you only want to use n8n, I recommend you check out the fantastic Make Academy. It's a completely free learning platform which has the main goal of teaching you about their own tool, obviously, but it includes so much important basic knowledge. And after I did a good amount of the courses, I started using n8n for the first time. And even though there are minor differences, it was super familiar and I felt I had to thank make.com for the great n8n tutorial. The main differences between both tools are obviously that Make runs in the cloud, unlike n8n, which requires you to own the hardware it runs on. And Make charges you by the operations within your workflow, while n8n is completely free, but additionally also has a cloud version should you ever need it. Because when those tools are running in the cloud, it's much easier to make your workflow reachable from webhooks, while n8n makes it much easier to reach your local AI tools. To install Docker, which basically allows you to run other apps such as n8n from within a container, we download the right version for our operating system from the website and then install it with the default settings. This is how the Docker UI looks when it's running. On the official website, we'll find two commands to install n8n. The first command basically creates a folder within Docker for all your n8n related data. And the second command starts n8n. And you can see it here in Docker, but it's going to take a bit longer for it to be ready, which you can observe in the command window. You can tell it's done when it shows you the URL it's running on, and you can open it in your browser, but we'll get back to it in a minute. By the way, you can stop the tool with Ctrl-C or by typing this command in another command window. But you can also just close it from within Docker. To run n8n again after closing it, you only need to use this command, but keep in mind that Docker needs to be running too. To install Ollama, we simply download and install it from the website. And when it's done and running, it will give you a command, but If you want to use a different model, you can go to the official website and pick one that you like. If you scroll down on the model page, you will find all the commands for each model type so that you can pick one that fits in your VRAM or pick a large one to run on your CPU and system RAM. The nice thing about Ollama is that you only need to run the command in a command prompt one single time. And once it downloaded everything, you're good to go and you don't need to configure anything. And as long as you just leave that window running in the background, we'll be able to use that AI in our workflow. To create a bot in Telegram, you only need to write a direct message to a bot called BotFather. Message him /new bot, and then pick a display name that you can change later if needed. BotFather is then going to ask you for a username, which has to be unique, and it must end in bot. Once you pick one that isn't taken yet, you're done, since you then have received the token to access the API of your Telegram bot. We will need that token later for setting up our Telegram credentials in n8n. But first, let's create the Telegram channel. On mobile, it looks a bit different, but on PC, you select New Channel from the sidebar, give it a name. I recommend setting it to private, as we are just testing for now. Which is why we also don't need to add anyone else yet. But we do need to do one more thing, and that is to DM another bot called raw data bot. Enable the menu here if you don't see it. Then within the menu, click on Channel and then select your channel. Confirm that you want to send the channel to raw data bot, and it will reply to you with the channel ID. We now have our channel, so let's add our bot. Go to Manage Channel, select Administrators, click on Add Administrator, search for the name of your bot, and then add the Telegram bot to your channel. Here you can select what it is allowed to do in the channel, and that's it. We now have our own Telegram channel and our own bot, which means we can now start building our workflow in n8n. When you open n8n for the first time, you are asked to sign up, and once you did, you will see this landing page, which is also providing you an overview of your workflows. Up here are some statistics, such as the executions of your workflows and their failure rate. Here you can switch between a list of your workflows once you created or imported some, a list of your credentials, which are usually the API keys or connections to your local AI tools, and a list showing all the previously executed workflows. If you want to, you can click around and familiarize yourself with the tool by trying out the sample AI workflow. But just like the Make Academy, it's optional, and you can click on Create Workflow right away. This brings us to the workflow editor. If you enrolled in the Make Academy, then some of the user interface will be familiar to you. And we'll get to know all the functions while building our first workflow. Just keep in mind to save your workflows regularly. Before we start building, let's look again briefly at what our main goal is. We want to read some information online and have that information summarized by an AI, so we can then send that summary to us on Telegram. So let's start by adding the first step, or the first node, which is always the step that triggers the workflow to run. It gives us several options here, and we will choose the one that says on the schedule. The actual setup of that node is self-explanatory, as you can first set the interval and then adjust the rest so that it triggers at the time you want it to. To go back to the canvas from this detailed view of the node, you can either click anywhere outside of the view, such as here, or you can click on Back to Canvas. Now let's add the next node in our workflow by clicking on this plus. The node is supposed to download information from an online source, So you could use a HTML node, but the HTML might change over time. And since our information is available as RSS feed, we will just pick the RSS node, paste the URL you want to extract the information from, and this is a good time to click on Execute step, which runs the node. And on the left, you can always see the input data a node receives. In this case, our RSS node from the trigger node, which is mainly just information about when the schedule trigger ran. On the right, you can see the output of the RSS node, which is the data we extracted from the RSS feed. It's 25 items with the attributes you can see here. They include the title of the post, a link, and the actual content or a snippet of the actual post, which is still enough for a summary. But there are two issues right now, and the first one is that while we could send this entire output straight to an AI to have it summarized, right now there is a lot of content in there which is irrelevant for the summary, such as all the specific syntax. So we would be wasting a lot of AI tokens. But an even bigger issue is that since we are getting this collection of data for each of the items in the RSS feed, so 25 times in total, this would mean that an AI node could only process one item at a time and would need to run 25 times in total. So instead of an AI node, let's add a code node, which can run JavaScript or Python, which makes these nodes very versatile. And while you can obviously write this code yourself with the goal to filter the relevant text and turn everything into one item, this is a very easy task for an AI. If you can run decent LLMs on your machine locally, you can just use those. But since I had to take an awful GPU downgrade, I'm using ChatGPT, which for these simple tasks will always do fine. So just tell it what you want to extract in detail and provide it a snippet of the source data that we want to extract our information from. We can get it by going into our RSS node. And since we ran the node earlier, we can still see the output here on the right side. While I just want to summarize the headlines without the actual article text so that it's a bit easier to handle for my old GPU, a portion of the actual text of the posts is available in the RSS data, as you can see. So you could extract that information as well with the help of ChatGPT. Here, I am switching to the edit mode, which makes it easier to copy a snippet, which should at least include a few items that we want to extract. And then we can paste that snippet to ChatGPT or whichever AI you're using. And it will give us the code we need that we can then copy and paste into our code node. Let's run it, and we will see that it produces an output, which for now looks good enough for us to move on. And to show you how this workflow could look without using an AI node at all, let's build a simple news ticker, as it is pretty much no additional work. So just follow along. We add our Telegram node right after the code node and pick the send a text message action. Now, the first time you use a node that relies on an API, you will need to enter your credentials. But you will only need to do this once per API key, and afterwards, you can just pick your credentials from this dropdown. So we click on Create New Credential, and in the chat with the almighty BotFather, we copy the entire token and paste it in the Telegram node under access token. Click on Save. And if you use multiple Telegram APIs, then it's a good idea to rename the credential here. We can close the window now And next, we need to tell the Telegram node which channel we want our message to be sent to. And this is the ID that raw data bot gave us earlier. So again, just copy and paste the chat ID from Telegram into the correct field of the node. To tell our bot which message or which text to post, we can just drag and drop this HTML button into the text field over here. Your previous nodes need to have been run for you to see the input here. Execute this step, and you should get a message from your bot in your Telegram channel. The message was sent, but there are a few things wrong with it. Thankfully, we aren't to blame though, since we didn't write the code that produces the text. So let's confront the AI with its mistakes. If you have used a better prompt to describe the issue than I did, and for example, if you mentioned that you want to send the output to Telegram, then the AI might have given you the correct solution right away. But it's also not rare having to go back and forth with the AI a few times until it gets it right. If the issue is more complex and the AI is having trouble, try to stay more calm with it than I was. And even though Claude AI seems very understanding while adjusting its language to mine, the tides could turn someday, and maybe they'll remember how you treated them. Just saying. By the way, if you want to watch slightly different edits of my videos with less censorship and higher quality than here, and if you also want step-by-step tutorials in text form or the actual workflow exports with explanations so that you can just import them, then check out my Patreon where you will find all of that. The good thing is that we can always just paste the code that our AI assistant gives us back into the code node and test it right away. So it shouldn't be too hard to get the exact output you want after a few tries. You can also highlight the entire workflow and then give that to an AI. But I found it's better to just focus on small tasks like our text extraction. A common mistake the AI makes is that it changes names of the fields or attributes, which may break your workflows. In my case here, it changed the name of what the code node outputs, which broke the mapping we did earlier. But we can fix it easily by removing the old name and by dragging the new name into the field again. To get rid of the n8n message at the bottom, we click on additional fields, which basically are hidden predefined options. Switching the toggle to off disables the message. And even though at that point the output still isn't perfect, and you could go back to ChatGPT until it is, we actually wanted an AI to summarize this information for us. So in our workflow, we will add an AI agent node here by clicking on the plus on the connection. Click on AI and then AI agent. First, we set the source for prompt to define below. And in the prompt, I'll just tell it to summarize the ticker in 2 sentences. Then, just like we did before, we drag and drop the field which ChatGPT decided to call Markdown right after our prompt. In the preview, you can see the entire prompt that will be sent to whatever AI we hook up to the node. And let's do that right now by clicking on the plus under Chat Model. Pick Ollama Chat Model and click on Create New Credential. This base URL should be the correct URL from which you can reach Ollama from your web browser. But since we are running n8n in a Docker environment, we need to modify the URL to look like this. And once you save, you'll be able to pick the models that you previously downloaded with Ollama from this list. Leave the detail view of the node, and although we already know that since we added the AI node before the Telegram node, we will need to adjust the message text again, but we can't do it until we got its input data. So let's run the AI agent node. I am going to run the Telegram node too, just to show you how you can identify errors in your workflows. Here, the output tells us that the message text was empty. So we check the text field, and red usually means that a value is undefined. But we knew that already and can easily fix it by mapping the correct text from the AI node, which is called output. And that's it. You can now execute that node, and you should get a somewhat decent summary in Telegram, depending on the model you are using. By the way, it's a good idea to save your workflows often, since there's no real autosave, and you might lose your progress when closing the browser window by accident. You should also rename the workflow to something that makes sense to you. By clicking on these three dots, you can download your workflow as a backup, and this toggle allows you to set the workflow to active, which means it will automatically trigger at the times you set it to. In the next video, which I'll promise will have less pixelization as the one you are watching right now, we will look at how we can now easily extend our workflow to include a voice generation AI, such as Chatterbox or 11 Labs, which allows us to send the AI news summary as speech to Telegram. By the way, if you want to see any of this in action, then I invite you to join my Telegram channel. Currently, the bot posts the top daily AI images and videos, as well as the best AI posts. But it also summarizes everything, and once per day, there is a voice summary sent to the channel.
2.2 is being praised for its potential to change indie animation.
I also made a workflow which checks for the current prices of the pieces of hardware that I recommend in my latest AI PC hardware guide, which you can watch here. And then each day, the bot posts the top 5 deals with the highest percentage off in the channel. For me personally, the channel is already providing a benefit since I no longer need to check several subreddits for AI news and instead have it all aggregated in one channel. Funny thing is, I now feel even better informed than before. But everything is work in progress, and to be clear, today we were just scratching the surface of what's possible with n8n. And there's so much more to come, so I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to join me on that ride. This is my longest video yet, so thank you for watching till the end. If you've learned something new, then I'd appreciate if you liked or shared the video, and I'll see you next time.